And we are back. Let's get some more done on the upper deck. Well, first things first, let's get a door out of here. Now we just shut the door, lock it, slide her out of the way. Now we can frame us in an opening. Well, there's part of the wall. This time we're framing it in place instead of framing it on the floor and standing it up and beating it in. I wanted to see which one was more efficient, and I guess the hardest part is it's just me here this time, so I don't know if this is more efficient or what, but I feel like this was faster. I really don't like toe-nailing in all the nails, but it's working out just fine. We're not splitting any of the boards. The boards are good quality. You can see how far off level that top header was. You can see the gap there, no gap over there. We are still doing the same exact size window. It'll just be a picture window instead of a mechanical window, as I stated in the last video. But we are down to one more wall's worth of 2x4s, and I need to get this door out of my way, so we're going to lower the door to the ground, bring up some more materials, finish this wall out, get some plywood on it, and see where we end up at that point in time. Man, what a beautiful day. I mean, my goodness gracious, it's just an absolute gorgeous day. There's some drift in the river today, but it's still beautiful. I just love it here. that's door number 2 down to the ground. Well, there is wall number 2. You guys can see that I'm always going to air quote that as a header because it's not really a header. You can see how far off that header was, but I do believe when I go to finish this, I'm going to finish to the bottom of these trusses, which I do believe that difference is going to hide itself, because I believe this board is just taller than this board, and so on. So I think that's not going to matter one bit. I do believe that I need to tie this wall to those boards in some way, shape, or form. So I may end up needing to put plywood on all of this, or first strip it out and put rough cut oak in here as a finish. I'm not really for sure how I'm going to finish it just yet, but that's the second wall. It's getting windier than crap. I don't want all my stuff to blow off the other side there. It's starting to rip the staples out. We're gonna go grab us some plywood, and I gotta do some head scratching, because getting the plywood in the basket and then getting it up here to get it out of the basket is just an absolute pain in the butt. So I'm gonna try to fix something to where I can keep the plywood on the outside of the basket, is my hope, and then lash it to the basket, bring it up, and then I don't have to lift it up and in the basket and out of the basket. But let's go see if we can figure that out. All right, I have a genius plan for getting the plywood up to the top on the outside of the basket. I have these old ratchet straps that are useless. All the actual ratchets are junk. I am going to tie this onto the basket, probably right here, honestly. Get it about even with the bottom of the basket. Give us a good old overhand piece of crap knot, if you will. Double it up. Always got to tie 2 of them. No reason to just tie 1 of them. Over to this side, get it about even with the bottom of the basket. Tie us an overhand knot. Again, can't just ever tie 1 overhand knot. You always got to tie 2. Give her the old pull test. Now I should be able to hook my plywood in there, pull my plywood back, strap it to the actual basket. I mean, it should work flawlessly. I don't know why this plan wouldn't work. Let's see how it works. Now granted, I'm gonna have to climb over the edge of the basket to get in, but I think this is gonna work flawlessly, which probably means it's gonna be pretty stupid. Oh, about knocked you guys over there. Probably gonna come off the end of that, yep. Oh, missed it. We got our other rope right here. Tangled up and everything else, imagine that. Let's get this sucker ready to wrap, because this is gonna work, I'm telling you. It's gonna work. Now what we gotta do, come over here, pick up our piece of plywood, lift it all the way up into position, take our wrapping rope. Make sure you don't go under the bar, or over the bar, rather. You're going to strap to anything. So we're strapping to the gate frame, basically. Obviously, this would probably be handier with 2 people. I mean, come on. Literally, what could go wrong? That sucker is held, you know, all safety precautions, getting in and out of machines, 3-point attachment, right? 1, 2, 3. I mean, come on. You can't tell me that's not genius. Let's go up. Would you looky there? I'm pretty proud of that one. We made it. Oh, couldn't hardly get you guys off there, and you're dirtier than I'll get out. We made it all the way to the top. Insulted. Sorry about that. We'll get you guys on our magnetic base here so you don't fall and hit your face again, because that was not nice. But you guys can see where that Sawzall runs right along the 2x4 and works pretty good. Oh, you might get insulted again. Fair warning. That Sawzall right there, definitely show you guys here, cut that way more straight. Heck, that's way better than the daggone skill saw. We're using this baby from now on. Let's get that piece cut, put in the header, get our trim pieces around. Trim pieces, by trim pieces, I mean the trimmed pieces of plywood, because there's no reason to cut out a whole sheet. We'll get our house wrap on and install the window. Let's do it. Well, there you have it. Don't judge me by my cuts. Got a little crazy there. That'll be all right. We'll take care of that later. All the plywood's on. Everything trimmed out pretty good. That overlapped the header seam. Header seam over here is right here. So that allowed me to nail to the header. That ties everything together. I know that's not a lot, but you know, for the amount of plywood we're talking here, I don't think we lost much structurability. That big sheet on the bottom, that's the one who, that one does all the work. So we're gonna get the house wrap on, and once we get the house wrap on, we're gonna try to install another window, and hopefully it goes as well as the last one. Well, it's time to put a window in, and yes, I brought a different daggone caulk gun. Was not gonna deal with the one I had yesterday, any. Oh man! Would you look at that nasty. Ah! Think we can make it by? Without making too big. Oh no! That's gonna be a big mess. Dang it! We gotta go get it, everyone. We'll be back. I forgot to show you guys the idea I came up with on making shims. You all may do this. Basically, measure, 3.5 inches. I'm just doing that on the actual board. Once you get your measurement, trim it. Got to cut it on both sides. Break it off. Breaks off nice and clean. Do the same thing again. By no means do I feel like I've created something ingenious here, but we'll use those later. You take the thick side and you lay it on the thin side to create. Now this is basically, well, I can show you guys. You look at that dimension there, we're 3/8 of an inch. So that'll hold us, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's 3/8 of an inch. So that'll hold us 3/8 of an inch up off the bottom. Then what I do is I take my stapler. I don't know if you guys can see all this or not. Hopefully you stay there. I take my stapler, I put one staple in it, drive that staple the rest of the way through, bend over the other side. Sometimes that happens. Bend over the other side to where it's flush, and then I take 3 of them. I put one in the center, one on the outside corner, and one on the outside corner that you guys are sitting in, and that should hold the bottom of my window 3/8 of an inch up off the bottom plate, which allows me to foam around this whole thing. Again, these are new construction windows with a flange. Since it's just me here, I like to get one screw in there and come in here and check it. Sitting on that shim, sitting on that shim, sitting on that shim. We've got a gap all the way around, so I'm gonna call that a success. We're gonna screw this sucker off. We'll show you what it looks like from the outside. I tell you, I can't wait to close that daggone flapping paper in that door over there, but here's what she looks like from the outside. Came out really nice. I'm pretty pleased with that. It's drawing near to the end of the day here. I know you guys have seen me build now 2 walls, but the first one was built on the floor, stood up. This one was built in place. I think I'm gonna stick with building them in place. Again, I'm here by myself today instead of having 2 helpers. But I still think I'm gonna build them in place. It did seem to go a little bit quicker. Things seem to fit better. Basically, once that expands, we already did the other window as well, but once that expands and fills in that gap completely, we'll come back with a razor knife or a putty knife and trim that foam right off of there, and it'll be a nice clean edge right on the underneath side of the window, and edges, I guess you could call it. So that's the last step. Gonna do some cleanup. We are call it a day to frame up some more openings. It is a gorgeous day. It's a little chillier today. Sun's out. Barge traffic's crazy again today. Got a little bit of trash in the river. When I say trash, it's driftwood, etc. But it's gonna be a good day. Let's get it going. Well, we are definitely getting faster. That's wall number 3 framed up. This one here, we had to get it plumb, we had to offset it back from that post. I'm thinking I can just cut up that post in line with this wall before I put the plywood on. I'll just set my blade on my skill saw as deep as I can, cut as much of it as I can, have a couple of nails to pull out. But once we get that trimmed off, we can run a straight line with our plywood over and then trim this plywood off appropriately so that they blend together. We had to offset it just a slight bit on top, not much. On the inside is where it's going to get more tricky. You can see we're basically flush here, so this finish will come over and it'll bump into that wall. This finish will come over, and then this will be the point of intersection right here. But as you get down to the bottom, that changes. So I'm not 100% positive how that's going to work out. I may have to finish this thing with something other than drywall. I don't know if drywall is going to work in here with how this is falling into place, but I couldn't get that post over there. That board is nailed in line with that post. So the problem is this post right here. It definitely leans. That wall there is plumb this way. So I'm not exactly sure how I don't know if that post leans in real bad, which changes the angle on this one flat face or what, but we'll figure that out long term. We'll have to figure out how we're going to finish the inside here, and because what we can't do is we can't have that wall coming down and kicking out and having a void behind it. So we may have to we may just have to do something a little different up here, which is fine. Let's get trying to decide, do I frame in another wall or do I go ahead and get plywood and everything on there? The reason I'm trying to figure that out is that I may leave one door in or frame it but yet not put the window in. So once I start the roof, I'm going to start the roof most likely right there and then come around and tie back in on that backside. That way I've always got an access with the man lift, and I can finish the last part of the roof with the man lift. Now I can access the deck and use the deck as I build that roof around there. But I also need an access to the inside without having to come up 40 feet of steps. That would be an absolute time drag. So I think if I frame the last one in and leave a hole, I can come around the porch, climb in. So I'm pretty confident I'm gonna have to do some interesting things specifically in this corner and straight out the back with floor joist replacement or something to ensure that I have good boards going out to make the octagon tie together properly. We're gonna get this one closed up. We'll go from there. All right, you guys might be wondering, what the heck was he doing on that time lapse? This wall had to be kicked in that much, roughly 1.5 inches, to plumb this wall. On this side here, it was a slight bit less, not quite as much. So that post, as explained earlier, obviously has a pretty decent problem to it. And we have to remember, our roof is going to come in 6 inches below this window. I gave myself a level mark all the way across there, not for that board, but to understand where this needed to be trimmed off to. So our plywood can come over and bump this and then come in and tie in behind that. None of this matters because it's below the roof. I'm not concerned about that at all. We're going to tie that roof in to our wall, which is tied, nailed to the posts on all corners. So that gives us our support. And once we run our board across here horizontally and tie in these truss tops, that will allow us to really fasten all this together. And I'm nowhere near as concerned about this as I am getting that plywood on here and to the point in which it's supposed to intersect this plywood properly. So that was the reason that we trimmed that off, and we only trimmed a little bit of it. Now we got to get the plywood on here, get us a window set, and then maybe we'll go eat some lunch. Well, there you have it. Wall number 3, framed and decked. We got to put some house wrap on it and install a window. Yeah, I used a bad cut there, but you know what? I think that'll be all right. It is what it is. I'm sure somebody's got to say, that's crappy craftsmanship. Fine. I don't care. It's a heck of a lot better than what it was. But we're going to go grab some lunch. DP and Aaron are going to meet me, or I'm going to meet them, should I say, at a local eatery. We're going to grab some good lunch, come back, put some house wrap on, install a window, and probably start in on the 4th wall. Oh, by the way, everybody's worried about losing the view. I am standing right at the stairwell. Do you feel like we lost the view? I mean, can't you still see the grass right there? Can't you still see above the trees right there? Yes, I lost 16 inches or whatever that is of view, but the stability of this building is number one. I could have went with a 5-foot window, but it would have gotten you to here. So it wasn't worth losing the structurability over an extra foot. It doesn't matter where you sit in this room or stand in this room, you can see that river. To me, that right there is going to come out really, really, really nice, and it's going to make this thing stable, structurally sound. Add the roof. That sucker's going to be tight. All right, we got our house wrap on. Now we're going to install the window. I'm going to do the caulking a little bit different. I've been putting it on the flange of the window. This time I'm going to squirt it down the wall. Maybe I can use, I was using a full tube on the window flange, and maybe I'll end up using a full tube again, but I'm hopeful that this gives us a little bit more consistency instead of a hope and a prayer. Not that it matters. As I've stated before, I am no professional. Oops, alcohol. I am no professional window installer, nor do I ever plan to be. I'm just a guy trying to get the job. Looks like I got a little high with my caulk right there, so we're going to pull the window back and make sure we get a good seal behind it there. Yeah, I'm using way more caulk than what I should, but that's all right. Sometimes you gotta use a little more caulk. You know how it is. I did confirm our shim stayed in place. That's not a worry. I did also confirm with Thomas Glass and More, where I purchased the windows, that you do not have to use every hole. Every other is just fine. So we're at least doing that right. I'm sure I did something wrong, which is fine. Doesn't bother me to do something wrong. Sometimes as long as the job gets done, that's all that matters. We're gonna get the rest of this window screwed off, go to the next wall. Well, there you have it. Wall number 3 let's go on to wall number 4. Let's see. I was getting 1 wall a day done. Now I'm getting 1 wall and the window installed and everything by 2 o'clock. I usually have till 4 o'clock or so. Sometimes I don't go in here till noon, but I call that one the most efficient yet, which obviously the more you do things, the better you get at it. But we're going to go ahead and start wall number 4. Prevailing winds typically come from that way, so I don't see a problem with if I don't get it completely done, don't get a window in there. They're not calling for rain for the next couple of days, so we're going to get it framed in. Let's go. Well, there is wall number 4. Let's get some plywood up here and get that sucker decked. And then sometimes you get distracted because interesting boats that you don't see very often come down the river. I don't know what the heck that is. I'll let you guys watch that big old boat while I tack off some plywood. Oops, looks like he passed you guys. I don't know what boat that is, but it's a big one. All right, back to work. Well, the sun is going down. We knocked out ourselves a twofer today. I did not get this window taped, but that won't take but 10 minutes when we get back. It's always nice when you can get 2 walls done in one day. Gotta go pick up a kid from practice. Can't be late for that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, like, comment, subscribe.